The Square Ball Podcast.
Welcome to the show. It's brought to you with Levi Solicitors. There's a 10% discount on your legal fees at levisolicitors.co.uk/The Square Ball. Welcome to Propaganda with me. I'm Dan. There's Michael. And there is Moscow White. Possibly our most anticipated show of the season. It's been a fairly bleak season at times, hasn't it? There's been a lot of heartache and upheaval in recent weeks, but we were treated to the madness of Friday. So Propaganda is a show where we find out what's been said about Leeds. We look back through the lens of the match ball. What did we get right? What did we get wrong? I don't even know what we said. I can't even remember what happened on Friday. And as just a genuine, complete mind masher, that one, wasn't it? How have things been for you? What was the aftermath like for you? Did you sleep much on Friday? I didn't.
No, I think it was about 2 when I actually got to sleep. I think I went to bed about 1 thinking, I do need to go to bed here. But then just lay there going, and then just occasionally I'll just check.
I'll look at the table one more time.
I'll just see what that Wolves Talk Twitter account's got to say now, and he's not stopped talking since, in fairness.
It's quite funny, isn't it?
But yeah, just enjoying it.
Yeah, because you went down towards London for the weekend. I did. I had a train at about 8:30, which was hard work. And for reasons, I think, because the irony is, after all the Jake Humphrey stuff last week, somebody has actually mentioned somewhere in the comments here, was the chair comfy on the way to... It wasn't actually. My chair wasn't comfy on the way to London. I was on one of those new, those Kurt Azuma trains. Chairs not comfy. You'd have thought they'd have made the chairs comfier than they are. So I had a 15-minute doze, then traipsed around London, did about 7 or 8 miles, absolutely knackered on Saturday night. But it was good fun. It was good fun, wasn't it?
I'm quite glad for the international break as well, because it feels like we can let this victory breathe a bit. We don't have to move on to another game like a few days after and risk losing it. We can just continue laughing about this for a while.
Yeah, in principle, I'm against Friday night football, but it's actually quite good that there was that on Friday night, and then the weekend was just empty until it was filled with Frank Lampard's tears. So it all worked out very well.
It was. Right, so part 1 of the show is where we look at things from a Leeds perspective. We've got the feedback of our TSB Plus members. They get a feedback form to send, not a written one. Should stress we're in the digital age now, because that'd take forever. We'd still be waiting for the post, wouldn't we?
Yeah, they have to they fill out punch cards and then we put them through a machine.
Correct. Yes. So they've sent in their feedback on general vibes on the match, what we talked about on the match ball, the well-being of some of the people listening. We'll deal with the Wolves half second in part 2 of the show. It does need to be stressed, though, that I'm not sure have we found a bigger set of crybabies this season? Are they as bad as Brentford?
Worse, I would say.
Yeah, because Brentford didn't even lose, did they? They were trying to take moral high ground, whereas Wolves, as you will know, were lost. They lost that game.
They've been absolutely unhinged about this, and I don't think it's, as is often the case when people have a massive strop about something, you think it's not really about this, is it? And they seem to have some weird...
This sounds familiar.
They seem to have some weird chip on the shoulder about not being allowed into the Big Six or something, which was something I was admittedly completely unaware of. I didn't know they were either aiming to do that or being kept out of it, but they're all like, this is what happens. You're not allowed into
grounds?
it.
I mean, Christ, Burnley finished 7th the other season.
Not in the Big Six, though, did they? They were kept out by Kevin Friend.
It's as high as they were allowed to be.
Right. There's top 4 pretensions as well, and as our pal Eamon tweeted over the weekend, he said that you don't need a conspiracy to keep Wolves out of the top 4. You just need to let them play all their games, and that will solve the problem. So it is this kind of, there's this weird, I don't know if it's delusions of grandeur about where they think they should be, and that there are
coming
forces
from Leeds fans
outside of football keeping them, or outside of them keeping them away from it, and also just like the extent to which they care. Like when you read the neutral match reports in all the papers, they're all like, yeah, it's quite a controversial decision to send off Jimenez, but nobody's saying like it's an absolute outrage. It's just, yeah, that's probably...
It's up there with the hand of God in Wolverhampton, is this now? People will talk about it in 30 years' time. They'll be like, do you remember that time he was sent off for what was probably a fair enough second yellow?
It just felt like a very normal thing to happen in a game. But the reaction has not been normal whatsoever.
No, but we'll get into all that. Let's save it. Let's park it for part 2, because we've got a lot to get through in that. But first things first, Jack Barnes, who, if you were listening to stuff over the last week, Jack is the Wolves native who lives abroad, comes back for the occasional game, has picked some sensational games in recent times. It was the Villa 3-2, the Birmingham 5-4, as you know, games around the West Midlands.
Who would have expected so much fun in the Midlands?
I know.
No.
It's amazing every time we go.
Jack got to go to the Norwich game as well, I believe, and then obviously to the Wolves away game. So Jack knows how to pick them.
If Jack ever invites you to a match, go along. It'll be a good game.
Be more like Jack.
Maybe don't sit in the home end.
Jack's alive and well. That's the important thing to know. Yes. Endured borderline torture, says Jack. Me and my dad joked at half-time that to win the game it would take something dramatic again, but duck me, he's put. Obviously, autocorrect has taken care of things there. Villa, Birmingham, and then this. We know how to pick the games. We kept the Bryn Lawgasms on mute somehow, but at the final whistle managed a few of the classic Marcelo Bielsa, the double fisting, which is always good without any bother. He said half the Wolves fans had left by that point anyway, but it was absolute limbs watching the away end. It was amazing. I mean, there were reports. I did see some reports of some Leeds fans leaving at half time.
I'm not surprised. I mean, it did get terrible, and I think that's one of the things in retrospect about the matches, remembering that Meslier, I mean, all the Wolves fans kicking off about the Jimenez second yellow, it also cost us Meslier. And even though Wolves went down to 10, I don't think anybody was thinking, oh, great, you know, the best young goalkeeper in the world is leaving the pitch and we're 2-0 down. And Wolves, because they were going down to 10, you'd expect them to just be ultra defensive for the rest of the game. And I was expecting it to be ground out at 2-0. So that moment was probably the real nadir when you thought there's absolutely no way that we're winning this. Now our goalkeeper's off injured.
Because all they need to do, even if they have 10 men, is shoot from distance, and Chris Clarkson will crumble like a trampled pack of biscuits. But he was fine. He was great.
That was probably true of him in September.
Yeah.
I don't think, it's not mean to him. It's not unfair to say that some of his performances in the under-23s were just dreadful over the first couple of months. But there has been just this little vibe around him since January of him starting to get his act together and him getting the hang of what he's here to do. And certainly so on Tuesday night, the game against Scum, some really good saves in that. And you're thinking, oh, okay, he's getting there. And then big deep breath when he's thrown in Bailey Peacock-Farrell style. Also made his debut against Wolves. A great performance in a 3-0 defeat. After some people had perhaps highlighted his previous performances
through the medium of video.
Through the medium of a video compilation that was always intended. I only made that video of him being a disaster at York on loan to say maybe we don't need to.
I destroyed that boy's confidence to try and protect him, is what you were saying.
Well, his performance shows that his confidence was not destroyed.
Thankfully,
just like Clarkson,
our beautiful listeners and viewers, Paul, Joe, Marky Mark, among those who gave credit to Clarkson for his performance. And I mentioned on the match ball that I went outside and had to wander around in the car park here for 5-10 minutes during injury time. But I did watch back the entire second half, and I saw the injury time saves and whatnot. And he did some really bloody good stuff there. Yep. So fair play to him.
Yeah.
I think in failing to talk about the game very much, we did miss some sort of key moments as well. The fact that they didn't nearly score because it was a very bad cross, but it was just after we'd equalised, I think, and they broke and down their left, and there was a cross into the box, and if it was a properly hit cross, it was more or less a tap in, but it just went all the way across. And it was the sort of thing that we definitely had a little bit of luck in these last two games, which has been lacking absolutely all season. And it feels weird to talk about luck in a game where more or less every senior member of the squad has ended up on the bench in pieces. But it feels like there were just little things that did go in our favour in this game. And I mean, I don't care. I don't care if it's lucky. We were saying this on the match ball as well, that the luck we had in no way sort of negates the bad luck that we've had. So in the end, like, if we got a couple of things that went for us, that's deserved because of what the players did to actually bring the game back to the point that we were 3-2 up and defending like a chance to equalise. We deserve that little bit of luck because we had lost 4 players before 50 minutes to injuries, not even counting Rafinha not even getting there, and Phillips and Cooper and Joffy not being fit to play but all sitting on the bench.
Dallas being nobbled as well.
Yeah, so all that stuff, and then we got one little break at the end. It's like,
speaking of breaks,
deserve it.
We've got broken bones to come actually in this, because I think a lot of this has been the human experience of this has kind of been the all-consuming part of it for me. Like, I've watched back the goals loads and loads, but it's like the Norwich game. Each time I keep looking at new things in the crowd, and one of my favourite things of this has been watching the Wolves fans behind the goal, because those lucky sausages at that end of the stadium got all 5 goals, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
They got all in front of them, the lucky so-and-sos.
Well,
and
if they hadn't already left.
Well, this is the ones who had their heads in their hands. It's when you see the heads go, the heads go into the hands, and I think there's one clip where there's a guy when the ball either overshoots, I can't remember if it's the second goal or the third one, but the ball overshoots, and then he's kind of stood up giving it V signs to the away fans or whatever, then it comes back into the area. I don't know if it was the Rodrigo one where it broke for a second time or whether it was Ayling's, and then he quickly sits down and puts his head in his hands.
That's what's strange. It's the second one. It's when Dan James hits the bar and there's 2 lads stand up and they're like flicking V's at him. It's quite a strange atmosphere because they're right behind the goal and everybody's just sitting down watching. And so you see these 2 guys stand up and start giving it to Dan James because he's hit the bar. And it's funny how long it took for that to then turn into the goal, because it's all the same thing. And when you look back through the tweets, I can't remember if it's Graham or Phil, but one of them tweets, Dan James' chance hits the bar. And somehow they still had time to type all that out and send the tweet before Rodrigo.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, Bowley in their defence is just kind of, I don't know if he's writing some tweets of his own. He's wondering about waiting for whatever happens. But
they were also busy being concerned about Stuart Dallas, though, if you're to believe their narrative. Yes. The liars.
They're all very
I will confess, by the way, I didn't mention it on Friday because it just got lost in all the chaos, but I saw those tweets in real time. The Dan James hit the bar, and on our feed, it's slightly delayed behind real time. So I'd happened to glance at Twitter and seen that Dan James had hit the bar, so I knew he was going to hit the bar. But I didn't think that a goal was following. I had no idea the goal was going to follow because, like you say, there was just that enough separation between that happening and then Rodrigo picking it up off the toe end of Sam Greenwood and putting it in, which was brilliant, wasn't it? Let's face it.
I've enjoyed that goal a lot more watching it back as well. The way Rodrigo just is like, get out of fucking way, everyone. Yeah. I'm coming to score a goal here, because we've been kind of willing him to do that more, haven't we? We've been saying he doesn't really sort of take charge of things, and he doesn't seem, considering he was bought as a striker, he doesn't seem to have that instinct of being desperate to score goals.
We need him to be an angry young man.
But weirdly, Gelhardt, you get the sort of feeling from him when he comes on that he's like, I'm going to score here, and no one's going to stop me.
Yeah.
And Rodrigo's a bit more, I don't know, it just seems a bit more relaxed about the whole thing. Whereas this was good. This was him taking control and charging through.
Well, the general sort of consensus on this, Ben Gillian, Breadman, Jeff, Darren, Andrew from Brooklyn in New York says, what the fuck, basically, is the general feeling, because it was really, really hard to unpack all the stuff that happened in one game. And that's pretty much the way that the match ball happened, I think. It all just poured out of our stupid faces, didn't it?
And it's not really settled into much more of a coherent feeling now. It just, and especially because those moments keep getting replayed, it just feels like an absolute game of like really obliterating carnage. It's quite hard to watch these kind of assaults on the senses that are being advertised as like a calm, stress-free football match. Thanks, Jesse. It's not really working, that, is it? But,
no. Well, is it? Stephen did request in the comments, says, can we go see our GPs, you and I, Michael? Because we've both complained of headaches after the last 2 matches. He said it'd take the shine off staying up on the last day if one or both of you died of an aneurysm on the match ball straight after.
I have been feeling a bit like that, it must be said, in recent weeks.
A bit peaky.
I'm generally a very calm sort of person as well. Like I'm quite. Flat makes it sound like a bad thing, but I'm quite an even keel, generally speaking, in life. But Christ, those last 2 games have absolutely done me in. And I think probably more so the Norwich headache was just from pure celebration and not breathing for like the kind of minute of celebration
that will do it
that took. But the Wolves one was like a building stress headache, which then went into some sort of, I don't know what it turned it. It was like it was the celebration mixed with it. And again, I think Fred probably didn't breathe for about half an hour in that game.
Yeah,
so more breathing.
It was similar for me. I'd been sat in this, I think, the steam room and stuff like that at the gym, so we're like a bit dehydrated as well. So that always like rolls forward with me. Like you got to drink gallons of water to get rid of the sort of dehydration headache is never fun.
The steam room, what a life you lead.
Well, a gentleman has to relax somehow, Michael.
But you're right about, you highlighted the stoppage time. There was 9 minutes. The game finished on 99 minutes, 10 seconds. And that's after the first half. And the first half was 56 minutes long. So there was a lot happening. And sort of the thrill of Norwich, we did have Meslier saving with his face after Joffy's goal, so there was a little bit more, but not 9 minutes of stuff to get through, and I can't remember any of it.
No.
The only thing I can remember properly
I was in the car park
from injury time was Jack Harrison getting away. This is right in the last minute. We're getting away with the most obvious pull you've ever seen in your life. I think it was like a double-handed pull on Bolly, and he just completely got away with it. Then we won the free kick in that corner, and that was the end of the game. But that was the one decision I thought, that's funny.
Yeah.
And because it was Wolves, I just thought, well, fuck them, more or less.
Well, some of my slight dehydration headache that then rolled into as I said on the match ball, I had paracetamol when I got here, but it never quite went. And with the stress and the tension of the game, just came back as the game rolled on. But didn't suffer any broken bones, did I? Because we have had a broken bone in the feedback, not sent directly to us, I should stress.
Yes, Sazzy went to a pub to watch the game. Depressed and losing 2-0. One of the lads goes, 3-2 will be grand.
Yep.
And describing him as the Michael Normanton of the group as well.
Which means depressive, pessimistic.
But then stayed out longer celebrating than they should. And now I'm in A&E with my dad, who sprained stroke broken his ankle. Fucking Leeds United.
That's good. You got to get some war wounds, haven't you? I think celebrating. That's good.
Quite enjoyed Mancunian Delusion's contributions while watching the game in a pub in Manchester, and finding gradually more and more strangers in the bar who were all Leeds fans. And once the third went in, this Irish nutter flipped a table full of drinks. And it seemed fitting for that game. Never changed Leeds, which, yeah, I can picture that. If you're in Manchester and that happens, what else are you going to do?
Chris, with some nice descriptions as well, says the best thing that Chris said on the way out, we were relegated at half-time, weren't we, Steve? Ah, yes, I remember it well. And he's saying the away end after the second and third goals was absolutely feral, and that is a beautiful description. And in the clips we're going to hear in the second half of this, there was one, is it Georgia, who's the girl who filmed with her boyfriend and captured the away end very, very well, which you might have seen the clips on YouTube, but we've got some of the audio from him in a bit as well. And it was kind of limbs plus, wasn't it? It was proper on steroids. A sea of humanity, I think, is the right way to describe it.
At the other end of the madness, we have Ralph, who's confessing that put a fiver on Wolves to win, brought Jimenez into my fantasy league team along with Wolves defenders, left the pub at half time, went straight to bed when he got home, put his phone on silent, and then woke up at 2:30 a.m. not been able to sleep and saw the score, and was now frantically trying to record the rerun on Sky. I can see how that would have happened, and also how people would have left at half time. I think I'm at the point of never leaving games. Well, certainly not at half time, because I was at the Southampton 4-3 and that was 3-0 at half time, and I know a lot of people left then because they were like, fuck it, just go to the pub, whatever.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you miss it. And particularly if you're going to go to Southampton for the day, you might as well at least stay for another hour.
Yeah, there's nothing better to do in Southampton than just watch a football match, even if it's a terrible result for your favourite team.
Exactly. An hour in a Wetherspoons is not worth having, is it, over that? So
well, those are our mate Wisconsin Todd, who was on last week, checked the odds, and we went out to 75-1 at one point to win that game. So we did. We overcame those odds.
Oscar, you put money on us at 1-0. Did you? How much did you actually win in the end?
I've not looked. I have a kind of a routine where I always put fiver on us to win before a game, and then when we go a goal down, I put another fiver on. And then when we go 2 goals down, I kind of weigh it up. And this time I didn't go further than that because gambling is a bad idea.
Yeah.
And certainly if you're under 18, you definitely shouldn't do it. But if you're over 18, you should only do it responsibly. That's my advice as I try to look at what the hell the bet was. I had no money and now I've got 80 quid. So
there you
I guess
go.
that's
Lovely stuff.
That's where it's at. So actually, bet what you want. You'll make a fortune. Guaranteed riches.
That'll fund your daft bets to the end of the season now.
This is basically it. Yeah, it's kind of
you can throw it all away again, which is the principle of gambling.
Yep. You'll never beat the bookie. You never meet a poor one, do you?
You don't.
One of the things that I don't think we mentioned this on the match ball, but again, it is just a big adrenaline fuel blur. Most of Friday into Saturday, was to be perfectly honest, was the Rodrigo Jackie chat. Did we mention that? The little discussion they were having after the first goal, wasn't it, when Jackie scored?
There was 3 of something that Rodrigo wasn't happy about. You could see him very much doing the gesture. It was like 3 times you didn't pass to me, or you should have scored 3 or something. Yeah. I don't know what it was.
Somebody in I think in the Heroes and Villains nominations mentioned, so it seemed like he was saying that we could have scored 3 passes earlier. So it does look like a healthy discussion, not anything to. And it's kind of.
It's 2-1 at that point as well. It's not like we're in front or anything, is it? And they're all going bananas.
There was nothing really to celebrate. It was kind of, okay, we've scored 1. How are we going to score another 1? And this is new fine young man leadership, Rodrigo. Well, this is it. Rodrigo is now Jackie's boss, so he can order him about as much as he wants, and that's probably
maybe that's what the discussion was about. Jackie saying, "Well, you're not actually my boss. You don't have the job title," and he was saying, "Well, I am."
But he's a boss, but then Jackie's a son of a bitch. So you're just going to have an employment dispute as a result of this new management style.
Jackie on the winning goal is great. You can hear it on the main broadcast footage from the live. Then
the screen
have it from just behind him, because he overhits the free kick, and I think he thinks it's going out of play. And as soon as he kicks it, you hear him go, "Oh!"
Yeah, it's a proper squeal, isn't it?
Just off on the LUTV camera, you can hear him. It's kind of like, "Oh, fuck's sake!" But then it's picked up on the big broadcast cameras. You can hear Ayling going, "Mine," and he manages to keep it in.
Which, by the way, at school level would be a free kick against you, saying mine. You've got to put your name on it.
Bill.
So we should have had that goal disallowed for bad sportsmanship.
Don't bloody encourage the Wolves fans.
But then there's no sign of Jackie in the big crowd of people running into the stands. I don't know if he's still stropping about because he's overhit his free kick and he's feeling bad about it. But
all of the goals were kind of like the game as a whole as well, in that the chances appeared to have gone on all of them. It was like, hit the post, never mind. We'll hit the free kick. That's gone too long. Ayling's not going to be able to get back onto this. And every single one, it was like, fuck. Yes.
The first one with Ayling shooting against the post and missing essentially because it's the post, and then did it take 2 shots for it to get it back? Because it goes back to Ayling.
I think Sai sort of
on the line,
mishits it.
Yeah. And then Jackie comes in and hits it. So every goal took we had to really batter them in.
Yeah, it was very Sunday League. All of the goals, truthfully, they were all kind of scrambled in. As much as there were some nice touches in there, the Robin Koch ball to Ayling for the first. Yeah, delightful. We didn't mention that at all. Yeah. So watching that back,
it's a very, very good pass. That wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's one of those delightful ones. Any sort of chip, the closer it can go to almost being cut out, the better it is. It's like if someone lobs a goalkeeper and you can see on the replay.
Oh, he's got that.
His fingertips just missed it by a millimetre. That's better than it be having a margin of error on it.
Because you came close to averting danger and you failed.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about Ayling in Heroes and Villains as well, because I think he's received more nominations than anyone ever for it. So, including probably Pablo, I think, at Swansea, weirdly enough. But
that goal was down to Ayling anyway, wasn't it?
It was.
He brought it from our 6-yard box, so I don't know what Pablo thought he was celebrating. Just go over and shake Luke's hand.
We need to talk about the final goal. That is one thing we missed, in the winner going in. I don't think we realised the full extent to which the subs had actually just gone straight across the pitch.
It's quite a long way.
Yeah, and really not allowed. And it was, confirmed that Noah Kenny, 0 minutes for Leeds United as a professional footballer, 1 yellow card. And somebody's found the stat, haven't they?
It was me. I looked it up.
Yeah, I looked up. So Mark Jackson, first booking for Leeds United.
28th of September 1996, so it's 25 years, 5 months and 18 days between bookings.
But he's kept his nose clean in between times, which is good news.
He has. He's been a real solid professional in between. But there you go. If anyone knows of a better one, I don't know if Peter Lorimer might have. He played for Leeds for about 25 years, didn't he? Ridiculously.
You never got booked for anything, though, did you?
No, that's true.
Knock somebody's head off, and it was just an
accident.
Gary Sprake did a full right hook on someone, didn't he?
Bobby Gould knocked him out and just
got a hook in. He was like, sort this out, lads. Come on.
Enough.
That was a bit much, so I'm going to have to give you a yellow card.
But yeah, it was glorious, wasn't it? Seeing all the subs get involved in that, and Calvin looked happy as well, piling into that. You can tell it really matters to him, can't you? You can tell how much they want to get out of the relegation battle, and we've given ourselves the chance now.
That's the thing with being in a relegation battle. It's obviously awful, but if this game was to go from 11th to 10th, you'd still celebrate it. Don't get me wrong, you'd really enjoy it, but it wouldn't mean as much, would it?
The added jeopardy.
I told you. Start of the season, best fun we'll have is if we're in a relegation battle. It keeps everything interesting, and we just need to try and avoid it. And we get those, the Arsenal 3-2 in 2002-3. It's the one that we always remember with Viduka scoring in the last minute. We had that twice in a week.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
Is that too much though? We'll be getting ourselves out of this too quickly. I mean, if we beat Southampton, do we need to start losing again to get ourselves more involved?
I mean, there is that risk of
losing so we can find some form again.
I mean, completely safe with six or seven games to go. Yawn.
The worry is that if we think that now, isn't it? That if with those two wins, we can't possibly go down. We'll just stroll about. Southampton won't be a problem, and then we haven't won that, but Watford will be easy, and then we're 3-0 down at half time. It's like, well, we can come back and win 4-3. Well, not every time.
Burnley beating Man City by that point, and let's just keep winning games.
Just get it done. It's funny, isn't it? Because we were talking via WhatsApp last night, me and you, Michael, weren't we, when we were looking at the clips for this show, and we're saying, these bloody Wolves fans are a bit salty, aren't they? But then we just got into a conversation about, and I think this goes back to the headaches. God, this season's been so tiring. Like, it's been emotionally draining because it's been stressful pretty much from the get-go because we so rarely clicked into form. And I'm really looking forward. I mean, I said some time ago I was looking forward to the season finishing. Now, if it had finished 6 weeks ago, we'd have been denied these moments. So I'm glad we've had these moments because it has been tremendous fun, albeit stressful. But it has been such a tiring season, hasn't it? And it feels like it'd be nice just to get to the summer and just breathe again.
I feel like we really needed these wins as well, just to not to forget about Bielsa, but just to move on to something a bit more positive. Because if we'd lost them and we got rid of Bielsa, it would have felt so miserable. It'd have been like, we've got rid of this, like, the best manager we've had, possibly the best manager we'll ever have again, and for this. And as it is, we can kind of go, well, I guess 2 wins you'd have out of 4 games. That's not a bad return, actually. No. That's kind of fine.
Yeah, it is interesting to try and, I don't know, think about how much of this was a Bielsa win and the players.
It's been mentioned actually as well, Moscow. Yeah, some people said it. Yeah, and what you could sniff the Bielsaism.
That's it. And there was a lot of in the kind of the neutral newspaper stuff. It was like this was a real Bielsa performance from Leeds. And I don't know what Marsh is in an interesting position because he seems fine, and I keep saying that. And it's not a kind of a he shouldn't be here or anything. But so far, like you said, we're going to reduce the stress, and we've not reduced the stress whatsoever.
Got worse.
We're going to stop bringing players back too quickly because they keep getting injured again.
No, they're all broken.
Yeah, he's done exactly that with Bamford, and then he's sticking, injured players on the bench for, Cooper was right for 10 minutes. It's kind of under what circumstances we're going to throw this half-broken Cooper onto the pitch for 10 minutes. And
what makes you think we'll have any subs left to use with 10 minutes to go?
And then he keeps talking about, these tactical clarity, and we'll go out with a real succinct match plan. And we were good against Leicester, and we were good with Bamford against Norwich, and good with Bamford against Wolves. But apart from that, we're still, the other thing is we're not going to be conceding goals all the time, and the XG against has improved, but we're still conceding silly ones, and we're 2-0 down by half time in this game and 3 against Villa. And there was a sort of an assumption that it'll sort the strikers out, so we're going to get rid of this stupidity of like, we're not going to be playing Dan James up front anymore and Tyler Roberts will go away. And then he's just like, no, Dan James is the striker and Tyler Roberts gets on before Joffy until we break it. So there's all these things that kind of either he said he was going to do or he was expected to do. None of it's really come to pass.
We should stress, because you'll get pelters for this, but it's not his fault. It's just the way things have unfolded.
It is. And it's but it's also, I think it's maybe a part of sort of, it's a bit of time, so he's not had the full ability to stamp his kind of football line. But also I think it's sort of his it's credit to his approach maybe, because he's not sort of a godlike coach. He's more of a facilitator and more of a kind of coming in, sorting out a leadership council. What do the players need to help them go and do what they want to do, which is maybe what they needed at this moment. Is I likened him, I think it was after the Leicester game straight away, is that he felt like Jimmy Armfield coming in with Don Reevy's team after Brian Clough had done his best to break them in 1974. And Don Reevy told him to take that job. He said, they're the best team in the country. All you need to do is pick the team and get your win bonus. I think there's an element, and Jimmy Armfield, because he was a lovely, lovely man who just basically went in and said, what are the problems? And they'd be like, well, this is a problem. And he said, right, I'll sort that out. Just go and worry about the football. I think there's an element of that with Leeds now, where he's gone to, Rodrigo's terrible against Aston Villa. He goes, look, Rodrigo, what's the problem? How can I help you go out and be a brilliant player? So it's kind of his influence as a coach so far seems to be more kind of helping those things happen, helping the good things in the team happen, and the players remembering the stuff they learned under Bielsa that means that they would win 3-2 against Wolves in a way that, the Heckingbottom era and the Steve Evans era, when we had Ayling and Phillips and Dallas who were in that little huddle at the end, they would never have been doing that. So it's kind of helping them get back to the best version of themselves that we've seen. But otherwise, he's doing absolutely sod off.
Teaspoon in the comments said, actually, Bielsa lives in these players like a fucking ghost. I love it. Yeah, there was also on Bielsa related feedback, actually. There's one for you, Moscow, which is from Marky saying, Bielsa doesn't use the concussion sub for click, and we end that game with Cresswell in goal and likely lose quite heavily. We did discuss during the game the possibility of Cresswell goal in goal, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. It seemed like the likeliest candidate. I think even Bielsa would have, because I don't know why he didn't use the concussion sub with Robin Koch, but he was getting the advice, wasn't he, that that's not the reason.
He was probably trying to play absolutely by the book.
Yeah.
He was probably being too fair.
But I think, Click's cheekbone was in a different county. So I think even Bielsa would have said, okay.
Yeah, I think we discussed during the game that it was the sort of game where Cresswell would end the game in goal, but then score the equaliser, and then reveal, because of the confidence of the man, reveal a pre-planned goal celebration T-shirt underneath, because he's just got such a swagger about him as Cresswell.
There was still plenty of time for somebody to knock Klaassen out. Something like his arm to fall off or something mad like that, and enough had happened in the game that you were just at 2-0 down, and you were thinking, well, what else is going to go wrong? And instead everything went right, and it'll be interesting to see once things calm down, and then we're not just riding on these kind of comeback waves all the time, like what we actually look like when we're playing what Jesse Marsch wants to do, because that's, he's a bit of a bystander at the moment, bless him. But the other thing I was going to say to his credit is that he's not doing any of the Lampard stuff. He's not taking credit for anything that he shouldn't, and also he's not blaming anybody for defeats. He's taking everything kind of on board, which is why I think it's part of his style at the moment is to just be.
It's living in the moment, isn't it? It's all about this moment and what the guys needed in this moment.
And the quality of men.
Yep,
young
men.
He said, I think quality of men was about 5 times in the post-match, and also push the game. There was 3 push the games and 1 push the half.
Okay. Where's he pushing them to?
To a 3-2 win. We told them second half we've got to get out there, and with the quality of men that we have in this group, we've got to push the game. And we pushed the game.
We did.
Like the Dutchie to the left-hand side. No, you passed the Dutchie, aren't you? I'm thinking of...
Salt and pepper?
No.
I was
as well.
Yeah. So you've mangled the musical reference. Go on, do continue. This is great for the...
Is it when you push the pineapple...
Pineapple, shake the tree.
Yeah. Agadoo. There we go. So a little halftime sing-song of Agadoo. Get them all out on the pitch and everybody feels a lot better. And they can push the game. I'll be quiet now.
There you go with part 1 of Propaganda here watching on YouTube. It's also in your podcast player as well, but you can stick around and find in the same playlist as this, part 2 of the show. We'll find out what the Wolves fans
it's worth listening to
thought about this in just a second. Stay with us.
The Square Ball Podcast.